So, think to yourself, you're a kid, you just beat Kingdom Hearts 1, you beat all the bosses, got all the trophies, unlocked the secret ending, except this was the time before trophies, but you get the idea. And you see the end credit scene, it's amazing. You see Pluto, you think, okay, how are we going to get Riku and Mickey back? How are we going to get back to Kairi? How's the story going to continue? And then you see the premise and all that stuff you read for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Yeah, that was not a good deal for a lot of people. Most people, to be honest, if you had a PlayStation, you might have had a Game Boy if you were lucky. But most people weren't multi-console. They mostly just had one or the other. You had a PlayStation, a GameCube, or an Xbox. And unlike now, these games were being made solely for the PlayStation for the consoles and solely for Nintendo for the handheld units. It was kind of an agreement back and forth. All the main number games would be console-based, while all the handheld ones would be the supplementary stuff, which we thought were filler. Boy, were we wrong, but that's near the end. So you sit down and you see this, and as you look in the trailer, you realize, okay, we're back to Traverse Town, we're fighting Jafar again, we're fighting Ursula again. Well, I thought we defeated all these guys. What are they doing back here? This makes no sense. Who are these guys in black robes, and why am I using cards? Seriously, if Kingdom Hearts 1 is only brought up primarily for the issue of the camera control, if I can solve the issue of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories in one way, I don't have an issue with it, but a lot of people have this. It's the combat. It's all cards. I could literally be spamming my ultimate attack, Audis Arcanum, with 24 CP power. Nothing can stop it. Oh, here's Zero Card. Useless. Yeah. And the bosses were pretty actually intelligent when it came to using the right combo of cards. So if you just did slates over and over, which is the combination of 3 cards, congrats, you ran out of cards and then you got wailed on over and over again. Not one of those fun times. I literally was down to 1 attack card and tried to beat the final boss like that for about 4 freaking minutes. Only to take that much of his health away. But it's okay, he had 2 more colors afterwards. As I mentioned, these games are not easy. And if you weren't actually somewhat clever with how you should be doing this, it'll hurt you. But that's all well and good. Chain of Memories picks off exactly where we left off with Kingdom Hearts 1 at the end credit scene. You're chasing after Pluto and you come across Castle Oblivion. We don't know what it's called at the moment, but his name's developed through the end. And in it, we meet members of the Organization 13. Maluxurian, Luxurian, Vexen, Devex, Exo, and of course, everyone's favorite, you can't forget him because he'll have you memorize it till the day you die, Axel. My favorite character from the game, not even joking. Well, okay, from this game he's my favorite because he's the only guy that actually seems to have multiple motives and he's actually kind of fun, he's a hothead. But you meet these members who are basically known as the Organization, which we would later be revealed as Organization 13, and I'll get more into them and everything when I review Kingdom Hearts 2. But basically, you go into this castle, and Castle Oblivion's gimmick is that it basically makes you forget your memory as you go farther up into the castle. Basically, you lose a little bit of yourself along the way. That's what you think is the purpose. Actually, there's something else. You meet a mysterious girl named Naminé, who throughout the game is basically being alluded that it was another friend on the island that you forgot. Which, given this game, you actually can believe. Because you think, okay, it was Sora, Riku, and Kairi, and then, oh, maybe there's this other girl that, we knew, and maybe something happened, or maybe her memory got erased. Maybe Castle Oblivion helped erase the memory. It's a pretty good, interesting take. Until Floor 5, and Laruxian shows up, and she basically destroys that idea. Yeah, it's all an elaborate plot, and the last half, you see Sora and his company going up the castle, and you want them to stop, because you know what's going to happen, you know it's not good. But it just hurts. And then you meet freaking Riku in the tower, but that's just, Riku, it's a clone. So you go through all this, you beat the final boss, which there's a huge difference between Chain of Memories and Rechain. I'll get to Rechain in a bit. But basically you beat the boss and it's revealed that the person is named Naminé, and she is what's known as a nobody. A nobody is basically the shell of a person after they lose their heart. Because the Heartless's goal is to steal hearts, so when they're gone, if a body's strong enough, it'll actually keep moving, and they'll become what's called nobodies. And the truly strongest of them all get to maintain their human form. I'm beginning to think that Bleach picked up a lot of this stuff when it came to the Vasto Lords and the freaking Hollow stuff, but thought for another day. So it's basically revealed that her power is that she's able to erase people's memory. So the longer Sora was going through the memories, the more that Naminé was erasing them to make him weaker, to basically make him a puppet for everybody else to use. And stuff's happen, intrigue ensues, people get killed, a lot of organization members die, which, yeah, makes 358 a lot more interesting. But it's kind of tough for me to go into detail without much of the spoiler. But here's one thing that we weren't shown in the trailer, which I was so happy they didn't. You're shown basically fighting Riku again in the trailer and all that good stuff. But one thing they didn't tell you was this. You think you beat the game, you think all's well and good, but it's not. You've only beaten half the game. And it's not one of those things like Final Fantasy, oh, after you beat the game, you have all these side quests and everything you can go on, and you haven't 100% of the game, and until you 100% the game, you don't get the true ending, and blah, blah, blah. Here's my imaginary middle finger to that. But instead, once you beat the game, you play as Riku. Where Sora starts at the ground level and works his way up, Riku comes to the basement and tries to work his way up to get to Sora to stop everything from happening. Because basically the Realm of Darkness and Castle Oblivion are tied together. How? Even when you look at the plot, it doesn't make that much sense. Darkness leads to light, light leads to darkness, darkness leads to Sora's heart because it's both, and Riku's the protagonist of the game. It's weird. But his combat system is actually a lot easier than the actual one for Sora. So the combat basically works like this. You got your stereotypical, I can move forwards, backwards, side to side, all that good stuff. Now in Rechain, they added another dimension where you can actually move in all those directions instead of just straight forward and back, up and down. So I think that works better for Rechain's purpose, but the combat works like this. You're given cards, and your cards are your attacks. Each attack card has a value. The higher the value, the more powerful it is. And basically, think of it as a game of war. Like if I play this card, which is a 7, and this card, which is a 6, the 7 wins and the 6 is destroyed. And when it's destroyed, it can't come back. So you gotta pick and choose when to use certain cards. But you think that'd be nice if this was turn-based. Real time, buddy. So you're ducking and weaving and moving around and trying to use your cards appropriately and build your deck up. So you can either build up your health, build up your dex power, or build up your slates, which are basically the special moves you get. And you think that'd be easy, but every card has a different value, every card has a different effect, and every attack card has different stats. One's better for damage, one's better for recovery, one's better for a finishing blow. If you really, really wanted to make the perfect deck, you could. But most people, if you just build up a good deck power, you can basically stack with some of the strongest cards in the game, i.e. Cloud, and you can basically take on the entire problem. Nope, nothing involved. Until you play Rechain. Try to block that final fight outside of my head. Because Rechain has a final form for the final boss. Because before you fight Maluxurians, he's basically the traitor to organization. He's working both sides. He's, big villain. He's got a cool scythe and a cool flower motif. But in Rechain, he's got a final form beyond his final form. And that fight can go rot in hell. Seriously, if you're not prepared for it, you're about to get wrecked. And even if you are prepared for it, you'll still get wrecked. That dude can break your cards like that. And don't even think about trying to break his stuff, because the moment you do, he gets upset and starts spamming you like it's nobody's business. The best part of that game is just to turtle up and dodge all of his stuff till his deck's gone. Then you can kill him. Yeah, I'll say his fight in freaking Final Mix for 2 is a lot better, but yeah. So, not much on this one was changed between the original game, which came out for the Game Boy, and the one in here for Rechain. And I also have the other one in the... I have officially Rechain in my cabinet, but it's the GameStop blank place. I'm assuming you guys wouldn't want to see that. So, yeah. So you beat the game, and all is set up. It seems like the organization has basically been almost destroyed. I mean, you took out... It's called Organization 13, and you took out in the game 5 of the members, so yeah. Not looking good for the organization. They lost a good amount of their manpower. And Sora gets put into a sleep because... And here's one thing that's actually clever. Throughout the games, you just imagine Sora would be getting stronger and stronger and stronger. How is he not stronger? The dude can one-shot a freaking Maleficent, and now he can't kill a Shadow? Well, this game will implement what I refer to as the reset button. Basically, what it does is whenever you deal with Sora, there's always something to reset his power. In this case, when he walks into Castle Oblivion, not only does he forget himself, but he also forgets all of his abilities. And not just him, but Donald and Goofy. So you can't just walk in and Donald can't just do Vandaga! Vandaga? He tries, but none of his spells work because he's forgotten it. So it's a nice idea of how much is really yourself and how much is our memories, what memories are really true, and if it's even fake, if the feeling's true, does it make it true? It's tries to be meta, and yeah, this would be the sign that the convoluted plot would be to come. Though, it introduces to the organization, which would later play much greater impact in the other games, and would actually be spelling what would be, well, the downfall for what would be Kingdom Hearts. And when I mean downfall, I mean for our heroes, not the game. No, this... After Chain of Memories, basically most people did it like this, and this is how sadly I did. I did not beat Chain of Memories until after I beat 350 and a half days, which came after 2. Biggest mistake, because if you walk into Kingdom Hearts 2 without playing this, 2 does a good job of trying to explain what happened between it, but man, do you regret it, because it's a lot of exposition dump via Dream. Don't ask. But yeah, this was kind of the proving point that all these games are technically canon in some way, shape, or form. Even the simplest one that goes after for a handheld, which brings back to the biggest problem with Kingdom Hearts is you gotta have a lot of freaking gaming systems for this until the .5s came out for the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. And then eventually Story had come for the Xbox One, I believe is for that one too. Story so far, sorry. But I guess I've been talking so much about this game. What do I really think about Chain of Memories? Well, I enjoy it. I actually enjoy Chain more than Read Chain, though that's clearly just, yeah, I know you're running low on battery, blah, 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 blah. Basically, I enjoyed the original one more than Read Chain, just because it was a lot more streamlined, it was a lot easier for me to work on the deck, and I didn't have to worry about so many things at once. I think adding the third dimension, while making it a bit more realistic in the manner, really makes it tougher for you to deal with your decks, and you'll miss a lot more attacks when you do that because it's not just straightforward. So, it comes with a grain of salt. That would kind of be the biggest debate between a lot of people is what's better, Chain or Read Chain? When it comes to Coded or Recoded, the answer's easy. Watch the movie. But for this one, yeah, it was kind of, man, there wasn't much of a change besides the final boss. The animation was done a lot better for the Read Chain. They toned up a lot of stuff because it was a Game Boy. You weren't exactly busting out big graphics for that. Still, though, the graphics at the time were good, and still the soundtrack is amazing. And there's a really somber one when it comes to the end because, you know, basically when it does end, you have to realize with Sora asleep, there's even the idea of is Riku going to become the main character? Or are they going to actually move on? I was denied all those wonderful questions because I just said screw it and wait for Kingdom Hearts 2. Big mistake. Well, not so much anymore, because now you can play all the games you want at once. But, yeah, they were fun, the game's enjoyable, but this wouldn't be my favorite, and it wouldn't be the one that most people claim is their favorite. Kingdom Hearts would basically go on a steady rise, but if I was to say where it peaked, where it literally was the highest point where everybody was loving the game, everybody was a huge fan of the franchise before it would get into what I refer to as the lull, would be in 2006, when Kingdom Hearts 2 would be released. And we would truly see what would begin the beginning of the Keyblade Wars. Well, that's a topic for another day, though. As always, I'm Kevin Riley, signing off, and I'll see you all next time. Later.